Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in this morning. It is Wednesday. It is hump day, but it's Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. And I want to welcome you to Purpose Journey Counseling LLC, locked in all 24. We have been locked in. We have been focused. So we are grateful that you are tuning in. It is 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are live. But whether you're catching us live at 7 a.m. or you catch this later in the day, later in the week, later in the month, or even later in the year, we want to greet you this morning. We want to welcome you. If this is your first time tuning in, or you just were scrolling on social media and you stumbled upon this, just stay tuned. We won't be here long, but this message will be empowering, encouraging, and hopefully, could kind of help carry you through whatever day you're watching this. To help kind of push you through. My name is Dr. Natatu North, and I'm the owner and one of the therapists of Purpose Journey Counseling LLC, which is located in Cincinnati, Ohio. So again, it is 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube. And the YouTube link for this broadcast is posted on Instagram. So we ask that you take just a few moments just to like the broadcast, like our pages. Please follow us on your preferred social media platform. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, whether you watch us on YouTube or not. We just appreciate you subscribing. And then also share this broadcast, and let's interact and engage in the comments section. I do want to share this number every time we are together. I always share it. It's a great resource to have. So I want to share this information. The numbers for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Now, sometimes we're in a crisis. Sometimes someone else is in a crisis. We don't always know what to do, who to call, who's going to be a support, who can really help. This number is 24/7, 24/7. You can text or call this number. So please, please, please save the number. If you just remember stuff, that's fine. But please, please, please make sure that you at least store it in your mind. I would put it in your phone just because sometimes in a crisis, we know, like, I know, but sometimes it's hard to remember. And it could, the time that it would take you to Google it could be the time that, could be saved and saving someone's life, that you don't have to utilize the extra time to do that. You can just go ahead and give them the information, or you can call for them, or for yourself. So please make sure you store this number, save this number, so that you can use it if you need it, and someone else can use it if they need it. So with that in mind, it is still May. It's still May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We are bringing awareness to mental health. We are talking about mental health all month. Now, we do utilize this platform. We're really talking about mental health all the time. So let's be clear. We're really talking about it all the time, but we are hyper-focused on mental health this month. So last Wednesday, we talked about how it all starts in the mind. On Sunday, we were talking about, on our podcast, we're talking about the human heart. And on Wednesdays, we do have what we call our Wellness Wednesdays. So with May being Mental Health Month, our theme for May is mental health. So we're talking about mental health again all month. And there was I won't say a concept, but a statement that I kept making on Sunday. Like, I kept saying it over and over and over again. And it's definitely something that I want to talk about again, and I want to kind of expound upon just for the short time that we are together, just for the purposes of really, really making this clear and being able to talk about what this really means. This went with the topic on Sunday, but this is the topic for our Wellness Wednesday. And it really is making your mental health a priority. We talked about it, but what does that really mean? There are a lot of things in life that we have to do. There are a lot of responsibilities that we have. There are a lot of people that depend on us. There are just a lot of things and they're important things. And I'm not just talking about the mundane tasks, that we take care of. I'm not just talking about, the monotony of life. I'm not just talking about that. I'm not saying that other things aren't important also, but we have to make mental health a priority. And when I say that, what exactly am I talking about? What I'm talking about is making sure that we are paying attention to what's going on with us and our mental health, and not putting it off, and not saying, okay, I'll just take care of it later. Okay, I'll just deal with that later. Okay, later. Sometimes later becomes never. Sometimes later becomes, wow, it might be a little bit too late, because if I would have dealt with this before, this wouldn't have gotten so bad, or this wouldn't have gotten out of control, or what are the things that I could have avoided happening if I would have made this a priority sooner. But what is making your mental health a priority? What does that even look like? Well, what it looks like is being, very, very cognizant of what's going on. I say this all the time. Not everyone has to go to therapy. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to therapy, but there are times and situations where we know we need to go to therapy. Like, we already know we need to go to therapy. We don't even have to ask anybody if we need to go to therapy. I'm talking about those times where it's on your to-do list and it never gets done, or hasn't even made it on your to-do list, because it's like a thought in your mind, something that you think about in a moment, and then you stop thinking about it until the next time you have a mental health crisis. Then it's like, okay, that's the reminder. But when we're making something a priority, it gets done. Essentially, if it's a priority, it gets done. Bottom line, simple. Doesn't mean that there aren't other priorities. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that there are not other things that we have to do. But that phone call we need to make, or going on Psychology Today and looking for a provider, someone we can talk to, doing those things becomes something that we just go ahead and take care of. Like, we get it done, and we're not waiting on nothing or waiting on anything to get it done. And the reason why this is really, really pivotal is because our mental health plays a big factor in everything else that we do. It really just does. We talk about, the connection between mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical health. It's important, but like we talked about last week, it all starts in the mind. It all starts in the mind. So if the mind isn't right, everything else just slowly but surely falls off. We know if you wake up in the morning and your mind is off, it doesn't mean you necessarily can't function, but you're not functioning at your full potential. You might forget things that you're supposed to be doing. You're just not really able to give 100%. You might be trying it, or it takes you, you have to think really, really hard. Like, you have to focus really, really hard to try to give 100%. But really, ultimately, you're not giving 100% because you can't, because it all starts in the mind. Your mind has to be right for you to be able to successfully. It's not about winging it. Successfully get through life and do the things we have to do. It's not about winging it. It's not about pretending through it. It's not about any of those things. It is about really being healthy. And it's interesting because, some of us, I know some of us struggle with all types of things, but a lot of times, we'll deal with we might, struggle through dealing with our physical health. We'll struggle through it, like, okay, yeah, I'll eat healthy. I think I'll do that. My spiritual health, okay, yeah, I'm going to make sure I'm studying my word. I'm going to make sure I pray, and that's not to say that we do all these things 100% of the time, 100% correctly. Absolutely not. Emotionally, yeah, I'm being attentive to how I feel. I'm not going to be emotional. I'm not going to act on my emotions. I'm not going to do that. But when it comes to our mental health, it's like we just sometimes assume that it's right because, it has to be right, because I can think, I can think, I can utilize my brain to make decisions and things like that. But sometimes we don't even realize if our mind isn't right. I go to the gym, but if my mind is jacked up, I'm not going, because it starts here. It really does start here for me. And even pushing through, getting through the gym, to do certain exercises, lifting certain amounts of weight that I've never lifted before when I'm on an increased day. Wednesdays, not every Wednesday, but Wednesdays are the days that I've deemed as increased weight day. So it might be every 2 weeks, depending on what I'm doing, but I increase weights on Wednesday. The only way I can get through increasing that weight, it's a mental thing. When I'm doing reps and I'm counting, it's a mental thing. I've got to tell, Tati, you got this, you got this, you got this. Like, you only got 2 more. You only got 2 more. Wow, you're so much stronger than you were last week. Or could you imagine that you'd be here right now or squatting this and doing this and on these Stairmaster? Look at what level you're on. It's a mental thing for me. It's like going to the gym for me is like really 100% mental. For me. Now, some people might say, well, it might be about 50-50 mental, 50 physical. For me, it's like 100%, or I'll say 95% mental, 5% physical. Because if I tell myself in my mind I can do something, then I'm going to do it. That's just me. But that's how important the point is. That's how important the mind is. So even if that's not quite how you would process it, that's okay. But that's how important your mind is, and making your mental health. And mental health is not just going to therapy. That's part of it. Mental health is also, what are you taking in? What are you reading? We talk about what you take in comes out. We say that several times on here, on podcasts and on, Wednesday messages. We've talked about this, but how are you thinking? What does your thought life look like? What are you like? Are you being a lot of times controlled by a lot of the negative things that people say? Are you taking those things in? Is that resonating in your heart, in your mind, to where you are struggling to even get past that? What do you even think about yourself? In your mind, what do you think about you? Not somebody else. What did somebody else say about you? What do you think about you? Is it are they healthy thoughts? Are they thoughts that are really like distracting, debilitating? Are they negative, discouraging? What kind of thoughts do you have? So when you're thinking about all of these things and saying we're making our mental health a priority, we're making it a priority to take care of our minds, what we're putting in, what we're thinking about. When we find ourselves going down a rabbit hole, spiraling downward with negative thoughts, are we able to bring ourselves back? What do we do when that happens? What's the remedy for that for you? And it's different for everyone, but do we try to check it? Or do we just, oh, well, that's just what I do. I can't turn my brain off. Okay. And that could be a very, very challenging thing to do. So what do we do when you feel like you can't turn your brain off? Do we even try? Is it something that we just get used to it and it becomes commonplace? And it sometimes can be a real it's like something that's very, very distracting, because if you think about it, one of the perfect examples of that is when you're trying to go to sleep and you can't turn your brain off. I know 100% what that feels like, but what helps you? And what helps me may not help you, but knowing what does that even look like? And yes, it matters, so you can get quality sleep. You can actually fall asleep and have quality sleep, restful sleep, so that when you wake up in the morning, you're not like exhausted when you really were in the bed for 8 hours. Sometimes it's not that we don't try to go to bed early enough. It's just that our minds don't turn off and we're dreaming like crazy and all these different things. A lot of times those really long, eventful dreams that are like movies, and know exactly what that looks like, is often because in that mind, that something's going on in that mind, you're overwhelmed, overthinking, overstimulated. And when you're sleeping, your brain is just like, okay, so now we're just gonna have a dream. I might even let you fall asleep. Okay, your body sleep, but your brain ain't. And now you're having these dreams, and you wake up in the morning like you just got into a fight because you just been having dreams. Even if they're not nightmares, they're still dreams. So this has to be a priority. It has to be, because everything else we do is going to be a contingent upon that. When our mental health is off, everything else is off. Period. So it has to be a priority. So if you're looking for a mental health professional, I'm not saying you have to come to Purpose Journey Counseling. I'm not saying that, but there are tools. Psychology Today is a great one to find a therapist. You could put in what type of insurance you take. You could put in what type of issues you want to address. It's like to actually filter your results, so you don't just, you can put in certain zip codes, certain ethnicities, genders. You could do that to kind of filter your results so you don't get a 50,000, therapists, in your area. If they do telehealth versus in person, you could do all of that to find what's going to suit you. Even if you're not sure, I would say this, if you're not sure, just go ahead and do it. What does it hurt to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm just going to find me a therapist, and I'm going to go talk to the therapist. I'm not exactly sure what this is going to look like, but even saying, I've never done this before, I don't know what it's going to look like. But it has to be a priority. It has to be of utmost importance. It's not something we can neglect. It's not something we can ignore. It's not something we can say, well, grandpa didn't do it, grandma didn't do it, auntie, great aunt, uncle didn't do it. They probably didn't because they didn't have the resources, or it wasn't something that was, or I won't say it wasn't as important, it just wasn't enforced back then. It was always important, but not that many generations ago. It wasn't mental health wasn't a priority. It's not something people talked about. But it is now, and we need to make sure that we're doing what we need to do so we can do better than the people before us did. So then our children can do better, and then their children can do better, to where it becomes so commonplace that it's normal. And then some of these conversations you don't even have to have anymore because people are already doing it. So we're making our mental health a priority, not just in the month of May, but we're making our mental health a priority every single day. That is our Wellness Wednesday for this morning. Again, I did bring this up on Sunday, but I want you to mark your calendars for our next episode of Hashtag from a Christian, Hashtag from a Therapist with Dr. Natatu. Episode 21 will be on Sunday, June 2nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just to share this, just as a reminder, we have our Wellness Wednesdays every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have our monthly podcast on the first Sundays of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please, just continue to tune in, mark your calendars for these things. We're trying to definitely be encouraging, empowering, inspirational. And that's basically what we utilize this platform for, the times that we spend together. That's what they're for. Like, what is this? That's what it is. That's what it is, to encourage each other. Wednesday messages are pretty brief, but our podcast is more lengthy, more time to talk. But we just thank you for your continued support. And we just hope and pray that this is supportive to you. We pray, that it is something that you look forward to on a weekly basis and on a monthly basis. So our tag for Purpose Journey Counseling, every time we are together, I want to encourage you to be loving, be kind, be compassionate, and be intentional towards others as well as towards yourselves. Lord willing, we will see you next Wednesday at 7 a.m. for Wellness Wednesday. We pray that you have a wonderful, safe week, that you're making your mental health a priority, and that you're prosperous and that everything goes well in your life this week. And even the challenges that you face, we just hope and pray that that they're resolved, and the things that you need, that you receive them. So we, again, have a wonderful, blessed day, and